there are two major lymphatic ducts. The two largest lymphatic vessels are called ducts. So look at the picture here. The one on the right, boy, it's tough. The lymphatic duct on the right is called the right lymphatic duct. Doesn't get any easier than that. The one on the left is much bigger, much larger. Look here. Here it is. Travels all the way up in front of your spine there. It is called the thoracic duct. I think you can kind of tell. It's a little difficult. The shading is off. They used to make it more obvious. What side of the body is this? This is the right side of the body. What side of the body is this? The left. What part of the body is this down here? That's wide open. You could say that's the lower part of your body. That's the inferior portion of your body. Those are lower extremities, and this is your abdominal and pelvic region. Okay, I accept all of that right now. Here's the thing. You see this thoracic duct, how large it is? Notice, both the right and left leg, the abdominal stuff, it all goes into this thoracic duct. So all of the tissue fluid from your lower body, all of the interstitial fluid from your lower body, it goes through the thoracic duct on its way to the left subclavian. By the way, everything from the left side, look up there, of the upper body, also goes into the thoracic duct and finds its way into the left subclavian. So basically, 3/4 of your body, the entire left side, plus the lower right side, go through the thoracic duct. Okay? Only your upper quarter here on the right, your head on the right, your shoulder and arm on the right, your chest on the right, and the abdomen is, it's a little diffuse right here. This goes through the right lymphatic duct and into the right subclavian. So a very obvious question on a test would be for me to pick a body part and say, is the tissue fluid in this area filtered through the thoracic duct or the right lymphatic duct? What are the only areas that are filtered through the right lymphatic duct? Right upper quarter of your body. Right chest, right head, right shoulder, right arm. Everything else, thoracic duct. Because that's how we grow. That's why, here's why. This is bigger because it carries more fluid, right? The thoracic duct's bigger. And notice right here, the way that it happens is all these vessels from both legs, remember they're following the blood flow, so they're coming in, look how they're around the arteries right here in the abdominal region. They're around the common iliacs there. And they all go to right here to this big open structure called the cisterna chyli. That's at the bottom of the thoracic duct. So it's made to carry, to handle more fluid. And that's just how the body forms. There is much variation in people on where lymphatic vessels are, even more so than blood vessels. You may remember me talking to you guys about blood vessels, how, bodies can be freaky. You can have 2 aortas, abdominal aortas sometimes, or inferior vena cava, or all kinds of crazy blood vessels. Lymphatic can be even more odd. What are these little beans we see all around? Those are lymph nodes. You need to know that there are clusters of lymph nodes in certain areas represented in this picture. Major clusters would include the ones under the armpit area. What do we call those? Axillary. In the fold of the leg, right here, where the leg meets the body, what do we call that? Inguinal. You very commonly, check this out, have them in your joints. At your elbow, the axillary around your shoulder. You have them behind the knee as well. And here, that's pretty cool. Notice that there are chains in the neck as well. There's both superficial and deep cervical chains. This picture doesn't show them all. There's one in front of and behind your ear. pre- and post-auricular lymph nodes as well, which is pretty neat. And yep, you have occipital. And look here. We see them all throughout the abdomen as well. So lots of lymph nodes. What do these lymph nodes do? What do they filter? They filter the tissue fluid. They filter the tissue fluid or lymphatic fluid. If I'm asking you generically, you can say whatever you would like. If I get real fancy, I would like interstitial fluid. But I'm okay if you just define this, a network of vessels and organs that filters the tissue fluid and returns it to the circulation. I'm okay with that. I do need everybody to know the term interstitial fluid, though, because that becomes very important when you get into your program, nursing or what have you. See, lymphatic vessels are a lot like veins. They do have their own smooth muscle. The one way that they're different is their smooth muscle kind of rhythmically contracts, which is pretty cool. But they're like veins. Tell me what was special about veins. What did they have that arteries did not have? They had valves. They're under very low pressure, so is your lymphatic system, and they have valves. So watch this. Bless you. Here is a lymphatic vessel, right here. Right here is where the valve starts. Can you see it? It's a little thicker here, and really, well, realistically, that's not true. Really, it starts right about here. And it comes in there. And on this side, the valve's right through here, and it comes in right here. And these two cusps are meeting right here. So if fluid is coursing through this lymphatic vessel, it would go this way, the opposite of my arrow, the direction my arrow is moving. And when it got right here, it would push the valve open, and it would continue down through the bottom. Lymphatic vessels have valves. These valves are one-way valves, just like your semilunar valves in your heart, and the valves in the veins, which are semilunar. That means there's no cords attached to them, right? Well, they don't have anywhere to anchor anyway. They're just spanned across this vessel. And they direct flow one way. In this vessel, you could see the flow would be moving down, correct? Cool. All right. Depending upon where you are in class, you may or may not know some things about veins. You're about to learn something about veins and lymphatic flow that makes them similar. I'm going to start by saying this. What allows blood, what's the primary force that allows blood to move through your blood vessels? Your heart. Right? The number one force that allows blood to move through your body is the pressure created by the heart. The heart is a pump for a reason. The heart is made of muscle for a reason. It squeezes its chamber and shoots blood out, correct? What chamber shoots blood into the aorta? Which ventricle? The left ventricle. So the left ventricle is the thickest, correct? So the primary thing that moves blood through your body is the heart. Now, arteries expand and recoil and snap back, and that helps the flow, so the heart's not doing all the work. When blood gets to your veins have valves, and the concept is this. Anything that squeezes a blood vessel, that squeezes a vein, helps fluid flow through a vein. Watch this. Nope, this is what I want you to see real quick. I'll get back there in a minute. Here's a vein. There's just little valves. If I squeeze this vein right here, what's the blood going to do in there? That blood is going to get pushed. Does everybody agree? If the blood tries to go this way, what would it do to these flaps? It would close them up just like that. If the blood tries to go this way, what would it do? It would open them. So our concept is anything that squeezes a vein tends to move blood along in the proper direction. Anything that squeezes a vein moves blood through the vein. It helps to move blood through the vein. Well, that's as long as you squeeze it and then you let go of it, correct? I mean, if you just squeezed it and held it, that wouldn't be very good for pumping. That would push some and then you close it off. So we don't want that. Hey, what kind of things in the body naturally squeeze veins? The number one is muscle contraction. Have you ever heard that moving exercise is good for your heart? You ever heard that exercise is good for your circulation? Exercise, when you're exercising, your muscles are contracting and relaxing and contracting and relaxing, and they are squeezing your veins. And that is helping to push blood back to your heart, to return flow to the heart. That's cool. Have you ever heard that movement is healthy and good for your immune system? Whenever you move, you're not only squeezing fluid through the veins, you're also squeezing fluid through the lymphatic system. Movement pushes fluid through the lymphatic system as well. So we have muscle contractions. Those are primary squeezers. This is cool. Arteries pulse. We know why. The pressure gets large when the ventricle contracts. It bulges it out. It snaps back, elastic recoil. When it bulges out, when your pulse is coursing through an artery, arteries and veins, the artery touches the vein, it squeezes in on the vein and pushes fluid through the vein. Some lymphatic vessels are on top of arteries or underneath arteries as well, and when the pulse goes through the artery, it squeezes on the lymphatic system. So you notice what I'm doing here. I'm doing two things at once. I'm doing fluid flow through the veins and fluid flow through the lymphatic system at the same time. Why? Because they are the same. Because they're both low pressure. Because they both have valves. And anything that squeezes either of them will push fluid through them in the proper direction, as long as your valves are intact. Miriam, what would you say the next one is? Breathing. See, when you breathe, you pressurize your thoracic cavity, and when your diaphragm moves down, it pressurizes your abdominal cavity. So you breathe in and out, and you're rhythmically compressing the tissues in the abdominal and thoracic cavities. Whatever veins are in there get squeezed, whatever lymphatics are in there get squeezed. So breathing creates pressure on vessels that squeezes them. That's pretty cool. Those are the major ones. Muscle contractions from movement, arterial pulsations, and breathing. Now, in the lymphatic system, we need to add smooth muscle contractions. Lymphatic vessels rhythmically contract. They have rhythmic contractions. Our veins aren't doing that, but our lymphatic system does. Smooth muscle, rhythmic smooth muscle contractions in the lymphatic system. And all of this works because of what simple structures? Correct. Valves. Without valves, none of that would work properly because the flow wouldn't be one way.